This is a 1906 Stanley Model H. It's a production model. It was at the time the fastest car on Earth. It could go 80 miles an hour. And a special model of this car that was streamlined and also had wire wheels at Ormond Beach in 1906 went 127 miles an hour and held the world speed record for 4 years. This car was purchased by my grandfather's brother, Edward Chamberlain, in 1915, and at that time it was 9 years old, so he bought it used. And he bought it to go on his honeymoon. He had just gotten married, and their first trip with it was to go to Yosemite and then up through the Sierras and all the way up past Lake Tahoe and up to our family cabin on the Truckee River near Squaw Valley. That same year, in 1915, he left the car up at the cabin and took the train with his new bride, but he asked his brother Leon to go up and bring the car back home. He ended up alone at 17 years old driving this car back over Donner Summit, and he had a few problems, but he eventually was able to drive the car all the way to Sacramento and put it on a steamboat and brought back to Oakland. Edward eventually decided he would try to win this race that the Examiner newspaper had every year to have the first car over the summit in the spring when there was still snow. And he thought, well, he had a good chance because he had a very fast car, but speed really wasn't the issue. But he did get over the summit and brought the car back to our cabin on the Truckee River. And then it got just left there. And for many, many years, it was in the parking lot up there. And my dad, when he was growing up, and his cousins would all play on the car and everything, but eventually it just got pushed over the hill. They had pushed other old cars that the family owned over the hill before, like there was a 1901 Knox, one of the first gasoline air-cooled cars. In 1972, I went down and started digging up all the parts of the car and brought them up to a place where they wouldn't get buried under all the pine needles. And a good friend of the family, Curt Brohard, and his brother, they got fascinated in seeing all these parts, and eventually in 1996 they bought all the remaining parts we had of the Stanley. It took 20 years to restore this car to as perfect as they could make it as to all the factory specifications from the Stanley Motor Company.